So I'm currently pursuing the chartered accountant route because it's something that I have learned about, and it's something that I've dreamt about becoming from the time I was about 13 years old. So it's becoming a goal that I'm slowly reaching. But in the interim, whilst I was younger, I didn't always have in mind the idea of becoming a chartered accountant is what I wanted to be. When I was younger, I went through the stages of different things that I wanted to become. I think every kid, one of the things that they want to be is a teacher, and that was definitely not me because I cannot see myself teaching people. Like, I really struggle. I want the person to understand what I understand, and then I get upset when the person does not understand something when I'm trying to explain it, or when they do not show any enthusiasm towards learning. So being a teacher for me was definitely out of the question. And then when I was around 6, 7 years old, I would take a broken telephone and I would take an old desk and I would set it up with a directory, and I would decide to take phone calls and be a receptionist and phone people in the directory with the phone that doesn't even work. That was my idea of having fun. And then I remember when we used to go to the bank, I used to find it so fascinating to be a bank teller. So it went from being a receptionist, as I was with the telephone and with the table. Now I wanted to be a bank teller because it looked so fun to work with money, to use the counting machine, to just like be in a bank and work there and enjoy that environment. So that was something else that I wanted to become. But I think we can remind ourselves that being a child, we're quite limited to what we see around us. We don't actually know how to do research. We don't know how to like consult with different resources. We always just rely on what we see and we believe that's the best. So besides being a receptionist and a bank teller, I also wanted to be a forensic scientist. So I used to watch this program, Forensic Detectives, on, I think it was ETV. I used to watch this program and I used to find it superbly interesting. Just the thought of investigating murders was so fascinating to me. And then as I grew older and I held that thought, it was one of the careers that I actually held onto for quite some time. And then when I grew older, I realized that there's actually not a scope for that career in the country that I live in. So the next thing that I moved on to was to be a neurosurgeon. I don't know where that idea came from, but that was one of my goals. I then decided, I think that was one of the shortest ideas that I had in mind, because I realized that if somebody's family member, if somebody's child is on the hospital bed relying on me to help them, and say for instance if God forbid something happened to them, then I would be devastated. Like after my first patient, anything happening to them, I would be devastated. So I knew that being a neurosurgeon was totally out of the question for me. I think that was one of the shortest things that I wanted to be, like for the shortest time. And then after wanting to be a neurosurgeon, I also remember thinking back to when I was younger, I wanted to be a cashier. I found scanning groceries to be so fun, and looking for the barcode and just running it past the scanner was the best. And I even convinced my parents to buy me a toy from Toys R Us, and I used to play with that every single day. Like, it brought me the utmost joy. So that was another thing that I wanted to be, was a cashier. But as I said, we are always limited to what is around us, and we believe that is what we want to be. because we don't know everything that exists. So as I grew older and I became a senior in primary school, I realized that there are other careers out there, and it's not just limited to the business world. There's other careers like in art, dancing, performing, things like that. These multiple careers, and I didn't know that there were so many careers out there. Like, we learn about being an actor and actress from watching movies, but you don't realize that there is so many other careers. And then as I began researching, and then I figured out what an accountant is, and then I slowly realized that on top of being an accountant, you can be a chartered accountant. And then from the time I've been 13 years old, I've been writing it in books, writing it in essays and compositions, that I just want to be a chartered accountant. And when I left school, when I matriculated, my idea of becoming a chartered accountant hadn't changed. It actually stuck with me. I honestly don't see myself fit for any other career, because I feel like I've been chosen for this path, and this is the path that I have to continue on. It definitely feels like when you choose this career, you're the chosen one, because it's hard, it gets boring, it can get repetitive. The work also can change a lot, so it's absolute extremes. You just gotta stay dedicated, and that's the way to move forward. But what I can say is that if you get into this career without the passion to do it, then you're gonna wanna get out of it as fast as you got in. It's definitely not something that is to be taken lightly. If you don't have a passion, then you must pursue where your passion is, or where half your passion lies, because this career has been a real journey, and I can say that I haven't looked back, because it's something that I really wanted to do. So if it's something that you want to do, then you should definitely stick with it. Yeah, so that's it for my first video.